All right. We're back. I think we're back. I think that does it. Hopefully, we got the sound going on here. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Thursday Night Hang here on the OnoLive channel for the Coffee and Cigars live stream. We do this live stream once a week, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here, talking about coffee, talking about cigars, and whatever's going on in between. The Real Lee Fox, man, how are you? Take two. We are here. And now with audio good. I don't know what happened to it. I thought I had all the settings set up, and it looks like I didn't. So now I think we're golden. We should be golden. Like I said, I got the fire. Well, you didn't hear that part, but I got the fire going on out here. Oh, and I've got this big block from one of the pallets that I kind of chopped. But since it's nailed into these boards, I can't get it to come off. So I just kind of split them, and I'm trying to get that whole Swedish log thing going on here so it burns from inside. So maybe it'll burn a long time. But I've got some white oak, some red oak here, chunks that I was cutting up earlier today. And now, and I got some black locust. I think this is, no, that's white oak. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of log wood here that I have to burn. So hope you're doing well, man. Bill Lee says, I work in IT field. There's always something, man. There's always something. There's always something happening here. Actually, you know what I would like to do? I would like to elevate the computer some. There's so many foibles that happen with this YouTube studio system that you just don't see it until you're actually broadcasting. Okay, that might be a little bit better. Ooh. So yeah, there it is. Got my halo light on. Tony's with us. What's going on, Tony? How are you, man? Good to see you. The evening is otherwise good. Yeah, really, Fox. It is very good. It is very good. George Shem's here. We have fire. We have sound. We have the fire going on. So again, the fire is going well. I'm getting better with my fire starting, but I am running dangerously low on wood now. Like I'm starting to run low on wood. And where's my gloves? Got some chunks. Put that down in there. I like to wear the leather gloves because it just, I'm one of these people that I will use the tongs and all those tools, but you know what, man? It's just too much. It's too much work. It's too much work. I don't like it. I just want to grab it and go for it, right? You want to grab them, right? Always got to grab it. So that's what we're doing here. I got to make sure we're feeding this fire nicely so that we can have some good heat. It's not too cold. It's not too cold. We're like in the 50s, I think. I think we're in the 50s. So George, I think George Shim's going to be okay outside. And wherever you are, let me know where you are. If you're outside, inside, if you're smoking, what cigar you're smoking, and what beverage you may be having with that cigar. Brian's here. What's going on, man? Oh, there are 5 of you at Buds. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Tony says there's a couple stacks of tree rounds on Timony Road right before you hit Mays Chapel. If you want, I'll have to go look. I don't know if I necessarily need too much wood. I just picked up some floor planks yesterday. I was at I stopped by the Columbia Restore and they had these like oak planks, wood flooring for like $50. I was like, oh, I could use that for some panel making. So I picked those up. But yeah, it should be good. All right, we're burning now. All right, good. Yeah, so this pine thing is burning. Right, like you can kind of see it here now. Right, so it's split and it's burning on the outside. Like the traditional way of doing that Swedish thing is you cut into it and then you burn it from the inside and it burns outward. But we don't do that kind of thing. We're not that good at this. We're just burning it. We're just trying to get it rolling, just trying to make it happen here. And George says it's pleasurable on the balcony. Excellent. Glad to hear it. So today we're going to talk about our coffee. Our coffee for the day is one that we're going to recycle again from this morning's live stream, because I think it's something that you might be worth considering. So last week, and we had this last week. Last week we made cold brew coffee in a brew tower, and one of the things about cold brew coffee is that you can make quite a bit of quantity of that coffee for your own consumption, right? So that instead of having to spend all this time preparing coffee every time you want to drink coffee, you just pour it and go, right? It's really nice, especially if you like cold coffee. And of course, if you want, you can also heat it in a microwave or heat it in a steam water, just heat it somehow. So it can be a little bit, but if you're heating it, I don't know if that really makes it any faster, right? But maybe just a little more convenient. However, the thing is that when you make this kind of cold brew coffee, and this is true for any kind of cold brew coffee that you make, you're probably going to keep it for a day or two or three. And if you use it relatively fast, like within 2 to 3 days, you don't really have to worry too much about it. Like there are certain, like in the food service world, there are certain, procedures for handling food product that will give you the best results for best flavor, best freshness, best practices, so you don't get people ill from foodborne illnesses, which is always kind of an important thing. You don't want to like have jardosis and start to have the runs for the next 24 hours. That is never a good time. So the only problem with doing it this way is that at some point your gloves start to catch on fire. Yeah, that's putting a lot of heat. It's putting good heat. But so the thing is that when you get in my world of like coffee, like at the shop downtown, I never had to worry so much about this kind of issue too much with the iced coffee, because we would consume it in a day, 2 days at the most, right? It's gone. But when you're doing it at home and you've got a bunch of it, it could be something to consider. And so we made this batch last week. So it's been a week now. And I'm gonna, prepare some here, and we're going to drink it. And based on my tasting this morning, it's not as good as it was. Like last week, it was really nice. It was super, like strawberry and cherry with some dark chocolate, really nice and rounded, and really, really quite a tasty cold brew experience. That experience from last week has been significantly diminished. It's nowhere near where it was last week, and so, and actually we tried it in this morning show. We tried it in several different ways. Tried it kind of like straight out of the refrigerator and then in a cup where it cooled down. And then we tried a version of it where we took it and poured it over ice to chill it more, which turned out to be one of the best ways to have it, right? Because what happens is when you heat something, or when you have something that you're tasting that's very, very hot or very, very cold, that extreme of temperature diminishes your palate's ability to taste flavors, perceive flavors, right? So by doing that, there were some not so pleasant characteristics of the coffee this morning. So by chilling it down more, it made it more enjoyable. Then conversely, we also steamed it and made it hot, and that didn't really do anything very good for it either. I was kind of, that was worse, I think, now that I reflect upon it. But another way to do it was we took that room temperature coffee, and then we kind of mixed it with some sugar to sweeten it just a little bit, right? Just a little bit, just to break that edge, right? Just to take that edge off and not make it too sharp. Oh, man, it is getting hot. Holy crap. We got to keep feeding the fire so that we don't, because you can't stop the fire, right? You can't stop the fire. Tony says, DTT red meat lovers, Fritanga Toro. Oh, nice. And a half diet, half zero cherry Pepsi. I guess we're still on lockdown for the diet cherry Pepsi. Andrew says, back again. Good evening. On the porch with PG, Corona. Oh, nice. And a monkey shoulder. Too late for coffee. It is too late for coffee. It is too late. But we're going to try the coffee anyway, because, we're professionals here. But like I said, so when you a little bit sweetened was really kind of the best way. Like to chill it down was improved it. To give it a little bit of sweetener actually made it a little bit more enjoyable. Made it fun and friendly and kind of, a way to drink the coffee. And my leg is just on fire now, like on fire. Like if my pants catch on fire, I will not be surprised. Tony says, the end is in sight. I found 312 packs of Diet Pepsi last weekend. Whoa. Oh, 312 packs. Okay, God. 312. Holy crap. That's like a whole pallet's worth of Diet Pepsi. That'd be crazy. At least I'm going to presume 312 packs. But you know what? I would not be surprised. Alternatively, I would not be terribly surprised if you were like, yeah, I bought 312 cases of Diet Pepsi, and it's sitting in my garage because God knows we can have a run out again. I was burning some cedar, and so you can smell the cedar now. Ooh, man, it is blazing. It's blazing. One thing about like hardwoods, like white oak, red oak, even black locust, it burns hot. Like it's just like on fire, man, on fire, like crazy. Okay, so since this morning's beverage was more enjoyable with ice, I have a thermal of ice here, and I'm going to take our coffee and I'm going to pour it over ice, and we're going to drink that. We're going to drink that, and man, my leg is really on fire here. But this is definitely better than other times of the winter where we've been out in the garage, freezing, trying to enjoy ourselves with a heater. Although I was kind of like a little bit irritated this week because, you know, it got cold again after having some nice weather, and I had to go buy more propane. I was like, man, I got to buy more propane. Okay, there we go. We got all this in there. Okay, close that up. Whew, man, I got to turn. I got to turn. It's just too much. Got to turn and face a different direction to get other body parts to feel the warmth. Mom's here. What's going on, Mom? How are you? Yeah, see, it's not bad, but it's not what it was. It's just there's some of the bitterness coming through. It's past its prime. It's past its prime. The Really Fox says, on a business trip with work tonight, decommission of a data center, so no cigar for me. Ah, that's all right. There'll be much coffee. Where in the country are you going? Are you decommissioning data centers? And then what do they do with the data center that they've decommissioned? Like I am curious to know what happens to them. Keystone Blend from PA Coffee in the thermos for this one. Ooh, I'm not familiar with PA Coffee. Does that mean you're in PA? And Devin, what's going on, Devin? Hey, I got to run. Hope you're doing, man. Good to see you, Devin. I know I presume you're still in Japan. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you. We missed you last week, but we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. All right, so tonight we're going to be trying a little bit of a different, well, actually, it's not really even a different cigar. It's a cigar that, you know, well, we've never had this before, but, you know, it's not like it's an unknown cigar to this crowd, right? It's the Roma Craft Intemperance BA21 Breach of the Peace. I got some Breaches of the Peace, and I thought, you know what? We smoked the Revenge, and I found some Breaches of Peace that are probably from the similar era of 2 weeks ago. We had the Revenge, so it's almost the same era. So I thought, well, let's see how this may compare. Like our Revenge, I think was like 87.5 last time, somewhere right around there. And you know, we're gonna try these. I have been smoking them because I ran through the first run of like Revenges that I had, and I had this Breach of the Peace, and I was like, I'm gonna smoke these Breach of the Peace. I've been smoking them like nonstop lately, which is really a terrible thing, right? Terrible. Really, Fox says, I am in Michigan. Ah, gotcha. I'm moving some equipment. Most will get recycled due to being ancient in IT. What is ancient in IT years? Are we talking like ancient is 2005, or is ancient like 2020? Yeah, 2020. Like if it's pandemic era, it's already way too old. George has the Tatuaje Avion with a hearty Cabernet. Man, nice. But yes, no MP. Okay, very good. Oh, Avion. What's the Cabernet, man? What is your Cabernet? And by the way, we are going to judge based on the Cabernet that you speak. But that's all right. Don't think anything of it. Don't think of anything of me judging you, because you know what? I'm the same guy that sat at Per Se in New York City, Thomas Keller's restaurant, spent all of our money, and then was like, oh, we don't have enough money for a good wine. Like I would like to have gotten the Chateau de Beaucastel, right? the Côte d'Aron. I mean the Chateauneuf, which is one of my favorites. But that was like at least $300-400, right? And I was like, oh, we can't. I was like, I don't want to spring for that. How about we have the Pouilly? How about we have the Louis Jadot? Give us the Louis Jadot white in the half bottle, please. The sommelier was not impressed with our selection. But you know, what are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? We were there for the food anyway. We were there for the food. The Really Fox says, yes, normally, no, Liga Undercrown, says Eric. 10, oh, Liga Underground 10 and ice water. Nice, nice. In the case 2016's oldest, 2021 newest I've seen. Okay, gotcha. 2016. Okay, that's 10 years. Okay, I can see that's fairly old. I can see fairly old in 10 years. Let me grab some more woods. The one thing about cutting your wood down into small chunks so they burn well is that they burn well, and you have to keep feeding it. And since it's all it's all hardwood now, right now, very little pine. I do have a pine tree back here that I'm gonna maybe burn some of. It's very hot. It's very hot. This might have been a better idea for 30-degree weather than 50-degree weather. All right, so let's, like I said, we're talking about the M Temperance. We got the M Temperance breach of the peace right here. Brazil Arapiraca wrapper, which is why they call it the BA, Brazil Arapiraca, which is this kind of funky leaf. I saw the leaf at a tobacco shop in Sao Paulo. I should have bought some. I don't know why I didn't. That was a foolish thing not to have done. But they have them in these ropes, and I think you cut the rope. You buy it by the length, and you cut it, and then I think you smoke it that way. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't buy any. I was like, oh, I know why I didn't buy any. I didn't have any cash. It was the very first. I flew in red eye overnight to Sao Paulo. I get in. The guys pick me up, and we kind of go to the hotel. We check in, and then they're like, let's go to the mercado. I was like, all right. So we went, and I didn't have any cash yet. And I was like, I don't have any cash. I can't buy anything here. I should have told my host, be like, hey, man, give me 50 real and reais, whatever it is. And let me buy this tobacco. But, this is my first time working with those guys. And I'm like, do I want them to know that I'm some kind of tobacco degenerate? Maybe not yet. Not in the first few hours. By the end of the week, it's all right if they know that I'm a degenerate, but, not initially. All right, so we got our breach of the peace. And as you can see, man, my leg is really on fire here. I got to turn around again. So you can see here, similar wrapper as our Revenge. It looks a little bit lighter because of the lighting we have it going on right now, but it feels nice. It actually feels very, what do you call it? Actually feels kind of oily. It doesn't look oily, but it feels supple, not necessarily oily, but supple. A supple feeling on my fingertips is how it works. Tony says, George, the regular Avion or the new Nicaraguan Corojo Avion? Oh, the Alexander Valley Cabernet. Oh, that is nice. That is nice. I do, or I spend more than $25 on a bottle. Are you saying you do not spend more than $25? One of the most expensive, not really, I don't know, maybe it's one of the more pricey bottles. I remember many years ago, I was dating this girl, and I took her to Napa Valley, and we went to, I wanted to explore, what's that? There's a winery in Sonoma. John Love. No, not John Love. That's the shoemaker. Gosh, what's his name? There's some dude. He also has vineyards down in Argentina. Paul Hobbs. That's what it is. Paul Hobbs. We go to Paul Hobbs, have a wonderful time, do some beautiful tastings. He's got some beautiful Cabernets, and I bought a couple bottles, and she's holding on to them. And then we broke up, and I was like, oh man. It's been over 10 years, and all I think about is man, I wonder if she still has those bottles, and if I can get them back from her. That's all that matters. I'm like, oh man, you were beautiful and sexy, and you got my bottles of Paul Hobbs. So I'm so upset by this. So upset by that. Real Lee says, our usual equipment rotation is 5 to 7 years. Okay, gotcha. And George is smoking the regular Avion. And really says PA Coffee Company is good to check out if you're into medium darker roasts. Good for the price. You know, I'm not familiar with PA Coffee. Where in PA are they? I mean, PA is a pretty big state, so it's kind of hard to keep up with all the players. I can't even keep up with the players here in Maryland, so it's kind of like, what am I going to do? Brian says he's smoking the Intemperance Beach of the Peace. No drink. Oh, nice, nice. How is your starting out? Look, I cut it with the scissor cutter. Okay, good draw, easy. So nice and dark. Oh, fragrance. I mean, it's got that darker. There's something about the Auto Paraca. Kind of smoky, deep, complex. Maybe a little bit of manure. Brian says the Barolo at Costco is $20 versus $29. Wait, it's $20 for the Barolo at Costco, but what's it? Where is it 29? Or is that normal price is 29? I mean, the cold draw, easy. Nice flavor. I'm going to say we're at 8.5. Very good plus. But man, this heat is just like, there's really a difference between 30-degree weather and 50-degree weather because, you know, in 30-degree weather, this distance would be okay. But now, man, it is just, my leg is still on fire. I'm going to have like sunburn tomorrow. And I got some long burn matches. Thank you, Brian. One day, Brian was asking, hey, what'd you do with the matches? I got them. Nice, like wood, good striking, like nice and robust. Sometimes you get these long stick matches and they just don't have the thickness. Andrew, you will know the answer to this. At Capitol, there are long matches like that, right? Because when I took my pack of cigars home that Tony, you know, he put a little match in here and these small ones, and I was thinking, I was lighting my cigars this last few days with these matches, and I was thinking, you know what, man, I kept thinking that, you know, why I never thought about it, but like I feel like I never felt rushed to light my cigar while at Capitol, but I think the matches there are bigger, right? Oh, nice. Starting off with a good, like, robust flavor, kind of like almost like a barbecue kind of flavor. Really, Fox says PA Coffee is in Marion Station near Philadelphia. Oh, I'm not familiar with it. Is that like north, west, south of the city? I'm a little bit familiar. I'm actually a little bit familiar. Now, I'm very little familiar with the Philadelphia region. Like I've been to the Huntington Valley a lot recently. Well, not a lot, but several times over the past year because there's a woodworking shop there. I've been to Downingtown a couple of times because there's a woodworking shop there. I've been south of Philadelphia because there's a cigar shop there. And then I've been a little bit west, like Malvern area, only because my cousin lives there. No woodworking, no cigars. All right, so starting off nice and robust, you know, I mean, if you've ever had the Intemperance, like Revenge, like this is, actually this one has a nice draw. Like sometimes these draws can be a little bit tighter, but this one is pretty good. Yeah, there's a deep, and there's even a little bit of harshness. I think that's part of the whole Intemperance experience is that, and this is what I've noticed. And maybe this is man, I don't know if I got this as much with the Revenge, but as I've been sitting here for the last several days, smoking one cigar a night. I didn't smoke one last night, but the last few days before that. Like I'll get down to about here, and then I'll start to feel like it's really getting heavy. Like we're gonna see if that happens tonight. Just a bit northwest. I've not spent any time in that area. I'm much closer to Ohio. Oh wow. Okay, Ohio. Oh, so the company's there in. Oh, PA Coffee isn't there, but you're out by Pittsburgh. Gotcha. I was in I was out there a couple of years ago during the eclipse. I drove out there, man. That was a kind of an epic day. I got up really, really early because I wanted to see the eclipse. Like the eclipse is like at noon or something like that. So I was looking, the eclipse had this, there's a whole swath of places you could go. So I was just targeting a place to go somewhere in that swath. I just needed to get into the district, into the area, and just be there, right? But I found this little town. I don't remember the name of the town anymore. I can still look it up. But I found this little town, went to the town square, parked my vehicle, set up my chair, was able to like hang out, had lunch, had a great time, met a bunch of nice people, saw the eclipse, and then drove back. It's like 5 hours there and 5 hours. It was like a long day, but so worth it. So worth it. Like I really want to go. I think I'm going to go to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. There's another woodworking event, of course, happening in mid-May, called Hand Tool Haven. That's going to be happening somewhere out there. I don't know where it is. It's just I know it's out by Pittsburgh somewhere. And I was thinking, man, if I go out to Pittsburgh for this event, maybe I should drive into Ohio and go to Hartville Hardware. Like there's a big hardware store that I've been hearing about in Hartville, just south of, like, I think it's south of Columbus. No. South of Akron or somewhere around Akron. I was like, ugh. Andrew says, I'm just back from St. Pete and Ybor. Bobby Newman gave personal tour of the factory. Oh man, that's amazing. A master class in cigars. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I tried to go there. I called up the then longtime rep for the company in 2019. I was in Ybor City in 2019. I called up our guy and said, "Hey man, is there?" They were still working on the factory renovation. So I asked him, "Hey man, any chance I can get maybe a hall pass for for El Reloj?" Oh, that's amazing. Did you get pictures? I would like to see some photos next time. So starting off, dark, complex, deep. I mean, it's I think that these cigars, these Revenges and Intemperance BAs, I would describe them as dark and brooding, just kind of like what's that animated movie where they have the emotions, the brooding one, the angry looking one. That's kind of like, to me, that's the character of this cigar, and of Revenge and this cigar, maybe Intemperance in general, just kind of a darker, more brooding, just kind of like darker experience, like not angry, but definitely not a light and optimistic cigar, right? Inside out. Thank you, Tony. That's exactly it. And not depression, just an unimpressed cigar. Like if I was, that person that sits around and tuts everyone, that's unimpressed with it, whatever anyone does. That's kind of this cigar. Just kind of like, it just kind of has an attitude to it. But that darkness, that complexity, I really like. Like I just want to like smoke it at a very high rate, a very hard smoke. I just want to pound through it. Like I can do this cigar in an hour. If I'm not babbling on about like on the show, like I can really pound this down, probably 45 minutes. It's probably not something to be excited about because, it does take a lot of money. to smoke cigars. And what good is that? Ah, Andrew has sent some photographs from the, here we are at the factory. Is that Bobby Newman? Or is that just some dude that works there? That's definitely some dude that works there. He looks too Latino. So this is the guy, what's he doing there? Oh, so he is, you can see here, he is the guy that is, so there are boncheros and rolleras typically, right? So, and why it's like said that boncheros are the guys that do the bunching and the initial shaping of the cigar, which is what this guy is doing, right? He's got the cigar, he's putting it together, putting the bunches together, rolling it with the binder, and then putting it in this, in the mold where it will be pressed. Then the next step is the rolleras, and they're called rolleras typically because most of the time they're women, rollera, right? So if it was a man, it'd be rollero, right? But we'll see if do they have rolleras or they have rolleros. Ah, here, this must be Bobby Newman. And George Brightman, of course. Rusty says, on the way home, have a Fratello Robusto with an Eagle Rare waiting from, oh, awesome, awesome. Let us know when you're starting. Oh, look at that. This is the humidor. Or, maybe I should turn it this way. Maybe we'll get better. Look at that. That's like the reserve. Is that that's a humidor, I imagine, right? Can you smoke inside the humidor? Oh yeah, look at that. This is the escaparate. So this is typically called an escaparate, where they keep the cigars after they've rolled them. They put them into these bundles. I think they're 50 cigars to a bundle, something like that, and they let them age for at least a month. Right. So that's kind of the right before they start to box it and send it out. Here's another image of them just sitting there. God, that would be so nice to have. Wouldn't that be great? Oh yeah, here's a close-up. Look at that. Here they are, everybody's together. Nice. Oh, that's it. That's it. Were there no rolleras? Like we want, okay, great to have the guys, right? There's great to see guys, but where's the girls, man? I remember I was when I finally got the tour to tour the Padron factory. Like everybody at Padron wears a smock. All the rolleras, the boncheros, they all wear a smock and and they're doing their job. But the day that I happened to be there, there was this one rollera who was actually really she was pretty beautiful. I was like, damn, she's good looking, right? But for whatever reason, she was wearing an evening dress. I didn't ask why, but I was like, who is this woman with a black dress rolling cigars on the Perdomo, on the Padron factory floor? Andrew says, behind the cage was the vault. Historic pieces, the aging room had the bunches. Oh, okay, gotcha. So what was in the vault? Like what kind of treasures were you able to spy inside that vault? Did they let you inside? Did they take you inside the vault, or you just kind of had to stand outside the cage like peasants? The women were on break. Well, I would have had to wait. Be like, we gotta come. We gotta wait. We gotta wait. Break can only last half an hour. But I guess that would be sexist in modern times. Can't do that anymore. So the cigar's starting off, as expected. Like one thing that I got to say about tonight's cigars, that there's no, if it performs the way that I would expect it to perform, because I've had so many of this particular cigar, the Revenges, as well as other of the line, there should be no surprises, right? They are able, Nica Sueño, the factory that makes these, is able to produce a very consistent quality and experience of cigars. So Andrew says, Bobby got us. I would hope so. I mean, he is Bobby Newman. I would be disappointed had it been any less. So did you go to the other, like, there's, if you guys never been to Ybor City, Ybor City is a little neighborhood in Tampa. And there's a whole, like, there's a little part of the street where everybody likes to go and smoke cigars. Did you guys get to go down there and have cigars? And did you try other cigar factories there? Like there is, what is it? There's a place called El Faraona. There is Nika something. Nika. I smoked at a couple places there. And then, of course, Arturo Fuentes or Carlito Fuentes' brother, or Arturo Fuentes' brother has a shop by the parking garage that is actually, like, you go there and it's a cute little shop, but they've got all kinds of crazy Fuente stuff. You're like, oh, obviously he's family, but they're going to have some of the best stuff in the world there. But it's really kind of interesting to go there. Andrew says he knew everyone, greeted them all with first names. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Even knew that one guy had new glasses. Wow. Wow, that's actually very impressive. Like, when you say that he knew all the people's names, you mean like the Boncheros, like he knew each of them and like noticed that one guy had glasses, because I think that's, especially I would imagine that their operation is fairly sizable. That's very impressive. Man, I just want to pound on this harder. Uh-oh. We need more flame. We need more fuel. I'm going to put some big ones on here now. Some big ones. Yeah, see, you got the flames going on now. Look at that. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Eric says that maybe he noticed an improvement in his rolling with the. Oh, that would be something, wouldn't it? Andrew says they hit Paradise in Central and St. Pete and Corona in Tampa. 135 workers. Wow, man, that's crazy. How was Corona? King Corona, right? That's the one that's like just on the same block, but across on the other side of the street. Not the other side of the street, but like on the other side of the intersection. What's it called? Nika Habana is at one part, and then you cross the street. This is all still across the street from the wine bar, and then you walk down maybe half a block to King Corona. Is it King Corona? I gotta say, I remember people before I went, they were like, "You need to go to that place, man. It's like the greatest cigar place. Everybody goes there." And I was like, "All right." I was kind of surprised that they didn't, at least when I was there, they did not have a very good selection. And I was like, and I gotta say, it was a little bit janky. I was like, what is going on here? This is what everybody's been talking about going to for years, and now I'm here, and it's like they got plastic chairs outside, like molded plastic that made in China or something. I hope they have like upped their game. Whew, man, here we go. We're back to the heat again. So what's been happening? Anything interesting this week? Last week, they finally did the last episode of Starfleet Academy. Finally watched that. I dig it, man. I dig it. And I was just like, if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth watching now. Now that I've seen the entire series, I think it gets much better. I enjoyed the finale quite a bit. But another interesting thing, if you like Star Trek, is that I was reading something today, I think it was, and they were like, so Star Trek Strange New Worlds is supposed to be 5 years, right? It's the 5 years before James Kirk takes over the Enterprise. So they're supposed to lead right up to the point of the original series. But they've been talking now about doing a follow-up series to Strange New Worlds called The First Year, like maybe like a season 6, in effect. So according to what canon is dictating, at the end of Starfleet stage, at the end of Strange New Worlds, Pike is going to have to be like maimed and put into like a Dalek kind of suit and all this kind of stuff, and then be removed from the Enterprise. It's a horrible, horrible thing for him. But Kirk will take over, and they've got to position all the, Sulu and everybody else into position by that last season, which I think is next season. But evidently they're talking about doing The First Year, which I don't really understand. Like I thought that the original series started the first year of Kirk. So I don't know. Maybe you guys might know. Corona was upscale, somewhat near the airport. No, okay, maybe that's a different one. So you're talking about what's his name? That guy his name begins with a B. I went to the Corona cigars in close to Disney World. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was really great. I went there, had some cigars, hung out outside, smoking cigars with this dude who, I wouldn't say he's a big guy, but him and I are talking, and I'm not, I followed football, right? But I'm a Ravens fan. Like I knew the Ravens back in like 2012. Like I knew the Ravens, but that was it. Like if you asked me about, and I knew a little bit about the Steelers because we hate the Steelers. So it's like Roethlisberger and Polamalu and all those guys. We just kind of hate those people, and that was it. Like if you asked me about anyone else in the league, I had no idea. So I'm sitting there having cigars. This guy comes out. He's with his cigars. Matter if I join us? Yeah, man. Have a seat. What's going on? We start talking. And we're just talking about life in general. And then eventually he talks about what he does we get to talk about, what do you do I'm in coffee, and what do you do? Oh, I'm actually in the NFL. I was like, oh, nice. And I guess he was kind of well-known player. I didn't know him. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I said, sorry, man, I don't really know anyone outside of the Ravens. I'm not a great football fan. I think he played for the Falcons or something. I don't even know what team. I'm making that up. I have no idea what team he played for anymore. But I just kind of like, hey, man, you're just a regular dude to me, man. Somebody else will be like, oh. But I do coffee, so, there's that. Brian says, WJZ had 2-minute spot on Baltimore Banner's hockey team. Pretty cool. Ooh, how is the hockey team? Like, are they good? I know nothing about the hockey. Like, I remember we used to have the skipjacks when I was young. But, I don't know. Tony says, Corona Cigars is the company that develops the Florida Sun-Grow wrapper. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've been to that one. But what's the one that everybody talks about in Ybor City? I thought that was some King Corona or King Cigar. I don't know. I remember I did buy some cigars from Corona a few years back because evidently Skip from Romacraft and the owner of that place, Berkowitz or Bersh, I don't know, whatever his name is, they got into a verbal tussle about politics. And the guy was like, screw you. I'm going to sell all your cigars at a discounted rate. And I was like, what? Discounted rate? Here's my credit card. Send me as many boxes as you have. I was like, I don't care about your politics. If it aligns me or not, I'm here to buy cheap cigars that I enjoy. So I was like, all right. The Baltimore Banners are the youth hockey project that Brian. Okay. Sorry there, Brian. Thank you. I'm glad. That's exciting, man. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at these things. Eric says that onto Herrera Esteli, Norteño Toro, especially, man, you know what? I'm going to have to look for those. I have not had an Herrera Esteli in years now, I think. How is it? Are you enjoying it? I mean, do you smoke this fairly regularly? Should we seek those out? I am curious. So you guys are at Bud's house. Are you guys watching on your devices, or am I actually on the big screen? And if I'm on the big screen, my question is, who is bigger? Me on the big screen or me in person? Like if I was to be there right now, standing next to the screen, would it be real life? Would it be life size? Would it be life size? I was at the Ace Hardware today. And my Ace Hardware has this table where they have all this stuff on discount. And it's all this grill stuff is on discount. Oh, Tony, that might be someplace you should stop by tomorrow on your way home. Stop by the Ace Hardware in Coggersville. They got a bunch of Traeger stuff that's on sale. I think they even have some Traeger grill covers if you don't have one. But they had a little like tool holder that you put on the grill, on the Weber grill. Like this is a Weber like medium kettle, and you put on the kettle and you can hang your tools from it. And I was thinking I should get one of those. It was like $3 for that. I was like, I'm gonna go buy that. I should have bought that. I should have bought it. But I was thinking, man, it gets so hot here. Like I think that I readily exceed the normal operating temperature of this grill every time that I use it. So like I don't want to put if I put tools hanging from this rim, right? Here's the rim, right? If I put tools right there, they would be blazing. Like that would not be safe to grab, right? So maybe not. Lighting it now, I do enjoy them though, says Eric. Okay, good. Both phones and the big screen, and in person, you'll be smaller than your image. Oh, okay. No. I'm smaller now than I was a year ago, so that's a good thing. But I think we need to add more heat to the fire. I get a little bit concerned about like letting the fire die out. Here we go. We got some oak from a pallet. See, there's nails. I got to dig the nails out every few weeks when after I get enough. This one is this one is the black locust. Like this burns hot. You know what they say? I was listening to this guy. There's this guy, Shannon Hodges. He's a woodworking dude, but he works for a company, McInerney, which is a lumber company here in Baltimore, one of the biggest, evidently, in the country. And he was talking the other live on his podcast about thermal lumber, and this is a piece of thermal oak, and it's oak. It's like white or red oak, but look at it. It looks like walnut because it's been thermal processed. What they do is they heat these up in a big kiln, and they basically are they roast this wood. That's why it turns brown. And what this does, it gives it great um, insect resistance properties as well as weather resistance. It totally changes the structure of the wood. And it's kind of like the Japanese style of yakisugi, although it wouldn't be called yakisugi for this, it would be called oksugi, because it'd be yaki oak, whatever oak would be in Japanese. But sugi is the term for Japanese cedar, which is the traditional way of that they make this boards for their weathering, their weather boards, and they burn the boards, and it's called yakisugi because yaki means to basically roast, and so this would be yaki oak. But what he was saying in this one live stream that was, or whatever podcast, he was talking about because it's so roasted, it has lost most of its burn properties. So it burns fast and does not burn hot. Like oak burns really hot. This supposedly burns quickly and does not give much heat. So I'm going to put this on here and see what's going to happen. Because I'm curious, like, is it going to give us the heat or not? There's a company, Arbutus, that makes this product. Like, oh, it's lighting all right. I forgot the name, but they're in Arbutus. And they had an open house last year, and I got a board of this stuff for like $5. So it's kind of pricey, but $5 was pretty good. Okay, so it's burning now. Does it get hot? Oh, like there's heat, of course, but it's not. I guess maybe it's not that hot. Well, also that's another thing. It's resistant to fire, so maybe it's not going to burn very well because yakisugi is supposed to be fire resistant. Now, I mean, I'm putting it directly in the flame, like in the hottest part of where we're burning our fire. So I don't think it's that resistant, but I think if it's somewhat resistant, right? Like now it's burning. Now it's well burning now. Look at that. Will it stay lit? No, it's going out. It's not really combusting well. Okay, let me rotate it this way. See if we can get it to continue burning. Andrew says, speaking of big, anyone watching Monarch? Kong makes an appearance. No, I'm not even. What is Monarch? I have not seen that. Well, it's not going out, so maybe it is. I don't know. It's not burning robustly, at least. Yeah, it's kind of going out. It's still fighting there. It's still fighting under there. Oh, I guess we do really have to force it to fire. Just still a little bit of flame, a little bit of flame. You can't see it on that side right there. We'll put that back in. I mean, I'd be curious to try like burning a bit of it to see what it was like, but I don't, it's expensive wood to begin with because it's kind of almost to the price of composite decking. All right, here we go. Now it's really burning. Like, I didn't really believe him when he said this. I was like, huh. But it's burning. I guess it's burning. I don't know. I don't know how to judge those kind of things. Let's see our coffee here. See if there's anything happening. Yeah. Yeah, it could be a lot better. It's definitely way past its prime. Like with milk and sugar, would probably be good. But our cigar, performing well. I mean, it is performing as I expect. Like it's got that darkness. It's got good broodingness. I mean, really, I'm gonna say it's got good body. Like the body is nice and robust. But I really do think it's more of a very good plus cigar, like 8.5, than anything else. Oh goodness! Now it's burning. Now it's really lit. Andrew says Monarch a Togo inspired show about Godzilla and like creatures. Oh, Tojo. Oh, Toho. Monarch a Toho. So there's definitely an interesting feeling to this. Like it feels lighter than I would imagine that white oak or red oak would feel in the hand. It's got heat. I don't know. Monoka Toho. So Toho, isn't Toho the anime or the production company? Is that right? That makes Gojira? All right, we're into the. It's now 9 o'clock, and we're into the cigar. We're good. We're getting into the second third. Having a nice time with it. It's. I'm having an expected time with it. I mean, I do think that maybe the body. I said very good plus, but I think really maybe it should be like 8.75 instead of 8.5. I think the body's just a bit better than that. Godzilla is 72 years old, like me. Oh, nice, nice. Happy birthday. Japan has been getting expensive. I was looking at some hotel rates a couple months ago because many years, all through the 2010s, I could go to Tokyo, get me a nice hotel, a nice enough hotel, like actually a nice hotel, meaning a modern hotel, a newly built hotel, small hotel room, but nice hotel room in the middle of Tokyo, like in the heart of it. And I was able to get it down sometimes $65 a night, 75, a lot of times 75 and $85 a night. And I was looking at the same hotels that I'd stayed in for those rates, and I was like, man, it's expensive now. It's like $115. $115. Like, come on, man. What's going on there? I mean, the yen is kind of depreciating to the dollar. That's part of it. But also, like, I think just because there's so much more tourism now, and I mean, it's like exacerbated. Like, I think when I was going there in the 2010s, maybe I think the number was like 4 to 5 million visitors a year was going to Japan. Now we're up to like 13 million. So I'm like, my God, man, that's like threefold. Like I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine. I remember going when I was last there a couple of years ago. I went to the Tsukiji Outer Market, which is always very touristy, right, to begin with. But man, it was packed. Like I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here. It sucks here. But now that I'm in my woodworking phase, I want to go check out woodworking stores in Japan. That's really what I wanted. That's all I'm thinking about. Like, and then one of my good friends who lives there, like if you saw on my main channel, maybe a year or two ago, I released a video about a friend of mine that has a kominka. Him and his wife have a kominka, which is one of those old Japanese houses that have been abandoned. And they bought like 10, 12 years ago, and they've been slowly renovating it in the old Japanese style. And he's a funny guy because he's an American guy. She's like Japanese American. We're friends from college. Like we all went to college together. And they've been living in Japan for a long time now. And he's finally got his workshop set up, and I'm like, dude, look at this equipment. He's got all of this heavy iron equipment. I'm like, damn, man, this. And I messaged him one day. I was like, dude, when are you gonna get the super surfacer? And he's like, oh, you must be looking at my auction list. I was like, dude, if you get that super surfacer, I am coming to visit because super surfacer. Which, if you're not into woodworking, you probably think that's just dumb. But you might be familiar with these hand planes, right? The hand planes take shavings off of the surface of the wood. Well, these super surfacers are like big machines that you can feed a board through and it will slice a shaving off the top. It is like crazy. I was like, that is crazy. I was like, dude, you get one of those. I'm going to fly out there to go see it. I'm going to cash in some miles and go check it out. 115, still a great deal. Yes, no doubt. No, I mean, compared to NYC, like NYC, like for $115 in NYC, you're probably getting a dog hole, like a pit. Like I remember I was in London and I got a room. My cousin got me a room in Earl's Court for 90 quid. Man, that was a pit. I was like, this place. I was scared to sleep in there. I was like, man, this is like drug haven. Looked like there's bed bugs and roaches and rats and just the pits. I was like, man. Yeah, like New York City, I think what, 250 now? It's like, why is it that I can go to like the most populous city on the planet and stay for $100 a night, and I can't do that in what's supposed to be the greatest city on the planet? I mean, I can't even go to San Diego and stay at that kind of price. I remember the last time I went to San Diego, must be close to 10 years ago, the last time I stayed in San Diego. And it was like the only place I could get was a Motel 6 for $150 a night out in like by La Jolla. And I was like, man, I got to drive into the city every day and stay in La Jolla at this Motel 6, this cheap ass Motel 6 for like $150 a night. I was like, man, it's the worst. It was the worst. Like they're having the coffee trade show next month there in San Diego. And I'm like on the verge of not going because I'm just like, I don't feel like doing it anyways. Rusty called and he's like, having a craving for hot wings, but avoiding meat on Friday. Then come to Denville Seafood for this week's mussel special, buffalo mussels. Oh, buffalo mussels, fresh PEI mussels sauteed with garlic and celery, then tossed in a bold buffalo sauce with blue cheese crumbles. Look at that. There you go, baby. Blue cheese, hot sauce, mussels. Good Lord, man. There's another picture, another one. Denville Seafood up in New Jersey. If you're there, go check it out. Gonna need some more wood. This is. Oops. I'm going to groom it. Gotta groom it. Ah. Okay. Our big pine is broken down now. Lasted about an hour or so, just over an hour. Not bad. Gonna have to load up some more heat. Put some big white oak in there. Okay, that's good. I've got more heat. You see that? Tony says, but they'll leave the light on for you. Nice. Rusty says, I was skeptical of the cheese with mussels, but we were all fighting over the plate. Oh, nice. That's awesome. I mean, I think the cheese is classic for that. I spoke to Miguel, says Rusty. He will not be at SC. I'm not surprised. He doesn't like to do that kind of thing. Ralph, I believe, is going for the HCA booth. Maybe I'll ask Ralph. One of the reasons I don't want to go is I don't want to. I need to get a pass. Maybe I'll ask Ralph if he has a pass. I'll text him now. Tony says he's moving on to the LCA Farm Road Habano Grand Corona 6x48. Nice. And Eric wants to know what happened to your yucky oak. You threw in the fire without further comment. Oh, I mean, it burned. It did burn. It's still there. It totally burned. It's only a small piece. I mean, it's not really that resistant. I mean, I don't know if you could put something in a fire like this and anything being resistant to it, right? Rusty says, I finally heard from Young Ma on CI. That weekend is his wedding anniversary. Ah, understood. Give him my regards. But I'm looking forward to it. Oh, Tony, I just saw your message when I was looking at Rusty's thing. I'm cool with that. I'm just not sure what I'm going to be doing. Meaning that I don't know if I'm going to go the night before or stay over because like I said, I was thinking about checking out the Crayola Museum at some point. But I don't know. I don't know. If I'm doing the back and forth trip, then no problem. There we go. Nice and heat. Now the heat's coming back. And look at that. Nice. Well, the fire's all like when the wood is all dry, like the fire burns nicely. Some of this I was milling earlier. Like I brought my bandsaw outside to do some milling out here and make it easier so I don't have to clean. Just use the blower and blow it all away. But the problem is, the wheels, the casters I put in all my equipment is really designed for smooth floors. So it's like, it's all like, and at one point it nearly tipped over. I was like, oh, God. Rusty's asking, is George Brightman? He said that he said he's planning on it. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him since because they were away. Maybe Andrew might have an update on that. Maybe Andrew's willing to take the Mustang on the road for that day. So what else is happening? Anything good? Now that Starfleet Academy is over, I don't really have anything that I can think of watching. I did download a couple episodes of this series that somebody recommended to me called Drops of God. I actually tried to watch it the other night. It's a Japanese, I think it's a Japanese Netflix or Japanese Hulu series. And it started, and the guy's speaking Japanese. And, my Japanese is not great. So I was like, oh, man, I had to stop it because I was like, I don't understand what he's saying. I need to download the SRT files for the subtitles. So I did that yesterday. So I guess I'm going to maybe I'll try to watch it tomorrow and see what that's about. One of the Yelp members says Brian is living in an apartment above your old shop. His boss purchased the building. Contractor, he leases out your old shop to the cabinet vendor that typically provides materials for projects. Oh, I was wondering what happened to that. Oh, okay. I'd heard. I mean, I didn't know that Lisa had sold the building. I knew she was looking to sell, but I did notice, they did all that renovation. So I was like, that couldn't. Did somebody just lease the space and then they renovated it because they were? But it makes sense if they bought it. Okay, that's good. I'm kind of curious to try to stop by there. Maybe when the weather's nicer, I'll swing by if they have the doors open. Be like, hey, I used to rent this space. Can I get a tour? Andrew says, got to twist my arm a little bit harder. Long trip for a day ride back. And I understand it's a long way. But think about it. It could be. I think it'll be fun. We do have an inn we do have an in with a friend of mine that works at CI, so we should be well cared for at least. Or I mean, if you guys come up, if I end up driving back and forth, and if you guys come up here, we can all ride up, pick up Tony on the way. I mean, the cigar, we haven't talked too much about it because it's kind of there's an expectation about it, right? That it's going to be dark, it's going to be brooding, it's going to be smoky, it's going to be that, and it's doing what it does. Like, it's doing everything that I expect it to do. It's very enjoyable. If you like this cigar, these are heavier cigars, right? That's one thing that I remember that like about this show because this is the kind of cigar that I typically will smoke on a regular basis. So it's nice to do this show because I'm smoking other stuff, and the other stuff we've been smoking recently is very different, and so it's nice to have those variances on the palate versus this all the time. If we are in the truck, we can smoke, I think. If we take my father's car, no. But my truck, I have to go get it checked out. Maybe I'll try to get that done this week because I was driving it the other day, and man, I started getting these shakes on the braking. And I'm like, man, is it the rotors? I gotta get the rotors replaced. That's a good $500 right there. Yeah, so Drops of God is about, evidently, my understanding is this woman, her father was like a wine taster or something, and he has an apprentice that's Japanese, and they're vying for his collection. I don't know what it's supposed to be pretty good, so I wanted to check it out, but yeah. Any other shows are good? Like, well, speaking of shows that are like sci-fi-ish, the big thing in the sci-fi world lately this past week has been the reappearance of the TV show Firefly. If you're not familiar, Firefly was a TV series that came out like 2005, ran for one season on the CNT, I think it was, and only had like 14 episodes that they didn't release in order, and they didn't release the last of the series ever, so you can only watch it like on replays. But it has a really great cult following, and Nathan Fillion, the lead, released these series of like shorts on YouTube or on social media where he's going to each of the cast members' homes, knocking on their door, and is like, "It's time, it's time, it's time." And so at the Awesome Con in Washington D.C. last Sunday, they had a Firefly panel. They made the announcement they're going to do an animated series, which makes sense because everybody like Marina Baccarin and Alan Tudyk and Nathan and everybody is in their own series on different networks in different parts of the country. So getting them to come together to shoot an actual live action will be very difficult. So they can more readily do an animated series. Like, you can record. I mean, literally now you can record at home if you need to, and then they can assemble it later. So that should be, hopefully that'll be quite good. Brian says, I enjoyed Drops of God. I need to watch that. It's actually, since the show came out like 2 years ago, I think it was, it's actually quite difficult to download. Like, I'm having, like, sometimes if I'm logged in, it'll start downloading, and then it'll like download for like 20 minutes and then stop. And then another day it might come again, and who knows? I've only got the first two episodes. Or maybe I have the first three episodes. Two, I think, at least the first two. So I'm hoping it'll be good. Hope that I'll enjoy it. Unlike that last Mark Ruffalo movie TV series called Task, I did not enjoy that. I was like, I watched the first episode, and it was just so like long and dragging, and I just didn't connect with any of the characters. So I just didn't care. I was like, I just don't care. I just can't watch any more of this. But The Mandalorian is coming out with a movie, Mandalorian and Grogu. May? Is it May? Someone asked me one day on one of the live streams, like, are you going to go? Maybe it was on this one. I don't remember what it was. They asked me, are you going to go watch it in the theater? And I was like, I was kind of tepid on it. I still think I'm a little bit tepid. I got to get closer to it to like be into it. But what the movie that I do want to go see in the theater, though, is The Devil Wears Prada 2. They finally released the trailers for that. And I was like, oh, that looks good. That looks good. Anytime I see like Meryl Streep is such a joy. Like every time, especially like on she's been on that series, Only Murders in the Building, this last few years. Every time she comes on that show, it's like, oh, it's such a wonderful treat to have her there. Andrew says, day before CI, I'm flying the kite I made on the mall for DC Kite Day. Oh, so either celebrating a good flight out or this is the big like clipper ship that you built, right? The big schooner. That photo looked epic. I was like, man, how's that gonna fly? That's amazing. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well. Oh, here it is. Here's Andrew sent another photo. This is the kite that he's going to fly. Look at that thing. That is just epic. Like, I just don't even understand how that flies. But what am I supposed to know? I don't even understand how aircraft flies. Like, these big 747s, these behemoths flying through the air. But I really think that when you're flying in an airplane, it's just one of those things where, like, weebles will come. You're sitting in the plane. You don't know what's outside. They're just changing the scenery in front of you. Like you're on a big blue screen and you're like, just, there's they change it. Did you see that there was many years ago, I think in the 80s or the 90s, there was a TV series that they revived called The Twilight Zone. And they had something like that where the character in this one episode was somehow fell into a time trap where they were like, I don't know, a minute or two, maybe 15 seconds ahead of like the timeline existence, where it was kind of like they pulled back the curtain and there were these guys, I think they were wearing blue suits, and they would set up everything in the world around them so that it was always kind of constantly building. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but I thought that was such an interesting premise. Like just conceptually, like, oh, that was kind of cool. Okay, we need some more wood here. Oh, darn it. Okay. Rolling. Anything going on this weekend? This weekend at the Woodcraft here in Baltimore, they're having a jig demonstration. I don't even know what that means. But I was like, I'm going to go check it out. Because, I got nothing else to do. So might as well check out jigs. And jigs is some kind of like, things to build for woodworking, not dancing, right? It's not the dancing thing. Hopefully you will not have failure at the kite festival. Andrew's asking, is that snow in the background? No, that's ash. That's ash floating around. It is not that cold out here. What you're seeing is ash falling. Which, if you can see that, the resolution is pretty good. Like this, the computer that I use for this stream now is my old MacBook Air from like 2013. So this thing is like 16 years 13 years old. It's way old in computer time. Like Google Chrome is always telling me that I need to update, and it's so old that it can no longer update. So, and I don't know what happened, but like after January 1st, the computer just becomes wonky. Like it will just freeze every once in a while and just nothing will happen. I have to restart. It's very strange. Like I think that they're building obsolescence into them because now we're at a point, like, back then, 2013, we're at a point where computers are pretty powerful overall. So like how much more functionality can they build into them? I mean, to like, especially if I only use this computer really just to like watch YouTube videos mainly. Tony says, I believe he's talking about the ground behind you and to the right. No, there is no snow. That is just, looks to me like that's asphalt. Just, old gray asphalt. There we go. Nice flame going on now. Oh, yeah, maybe some more wood. Let's get some more wood to put on there. Continue the burn. I have plowed through a lot of wood this season. Like, I need to start thinking about re-upping the wood supply. Actually, my friend Matt was here yesterday. He was like, "Yeah, you really did plow through." I said, "I know, man." He's like, "I plowed through." He's like, "At my house, I plowed through 3 cords." I was like, "God, I know." He used to have when we started the winter, he had this huge stacks, like huge piles of like wood, all gone. I'm like, "Damn, dude, it's been a cold, long winter." Like last weekend when we had that nice weather, or like last week we had that nice weather, I was like, or before last week was cold, but like before that it was nice and warm. I was like, man, I hope we're finally turning. But it's like the winter is like, it's like raging against the dying of its light. Oh yeah, now it's burning nicely. Yeah, so Jig's on Saturday, and then Sunday, the girls that I know, they're having a party. I was like, ooh. They're like, you should come to our party. It's like, girls at a party? Yes, I will be there. I'm working with this week. This past few days, been working on this Adirondack chair. At the Woodcraft, they have this Adirondack chair on display, and from one of their kits, And so I was sitting in it a few weeks ago, and I was like, man, this is really nice. Like Adirondack chairs are a chair that I don't normally like. I think we talked about this, but I don't really like them because they tend to be the ones that I've sat in before were, to me, relatively uncomfortable. Some of them tend to be really deep. So you sit there, you feel compressed. And then one of the other guys that's an older dude, more experienced in woodworking, he was like, those Adirondack, we were talking about this yesterday. He's like, those Adirondack chairs are actually designed to be in the Adirondacks, in the mountains. So it's got that shape because you're sitting back pretty reclined. He's like, because you're normally on the slope. So when it's on the slope, you're a little bit more upright. And I was like, really? That's what it's about? I was like, oh, that does make sense. But this particular one has a nice rake to it. So it's actually I find it to be it's like the most comfortable Adirondack chair. So I bought the plans and it comes with a whole bag of templates. So it's like for $30, you get these templates, right? And then I went to Lowe's and I bought a whole bunch of like cedar fence planks. Very cheap. They're like $3.85 a piece. So they're like 6 feet long, 6 feet tall. I don't know, 6 inches, 5.5 inches wide. I think I used 6 of them to make this chair. I finished it yesterday. I finished assembling yesterday. Like I just pumped it out. I just kind of like just made it. And I was like, I just gonna make the first one, crank it out, not think too much about it, and then use that as the platform that I can figure out how to refine it. And then later I'll make a nicer one out of nicer wood. So I finished it yesterday, and I had to go back to the Woodcraft to compare it because the one that Kevin built at Woodcraft turns out it's using 3/4 inch mahogany. So it's really stable. It's really like nice and solid. Mine is there's a little bit of left and right racking. And I think that's because my boards ended up being a half an inch at the finished dimensions. So it's like not as sturdy. So I was talking to Kevin today. I was like, "Hey man, did you glue this together? Yours, or did you just screw it all?" He's like, "I just screwed it all." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Why?" I got a little bit of racking. He's like, "Oh, it's probably because of the thinner stock you're using." I was like, "Yeah, that's what I figured." But I took it all apart yesterday because I was like, "Man, I'm gonna take it apart." And then, like, I took it apart last night, and then I sanded all the pieces, and then I started to do the coating and the finishing on it. So I'm using something called water locks, which is what I used on the bar at the Roastery Cafe. And I used it, like I built that in like 2018. And one of the things I thought about, there's a guy here called Free State Timbers over in Timonium, guy Josh. I got the wood from him back then, and I was like, "What kind of finish?" He's like, "Use the water locks." I used the water locks, and that finish on that bar, like we would leave water on it, and it never discolored. It never got foggy. It never did. It was totally impervious. Like it was totally like impressive. And I was like, man. So I'm using that on here. So I took it all apart, sanded all the pieces, made it really nice. And then I've been coating them for the last 24 hours. I got 3 coats on it now, which I think is enough. The problem with that finish, while it's very like sturdy, it's also high VOCs, like a lot of petroleum products. So it's like totally noxious. I'm wearing a respirator to like apply it, and I leave the garage open completely because it's just so bad. It's like you can't do anything in there. It's like, I gotta leave it open. Rusty says opening day is next week for the baseball. How do your Orioles look? I don't know. I don't know. I gotta be honest. I'm not a big Orioles follower. My cousins are, and they're always bullish. Every year they're like, "We're gonna win." No, we're not. No, we're gonna win, man. It's still going to be different this year. No, we're not. Like we have not had the Orioles. I think organizationally there's still some issues, even though Angelo sold the team to this new group of owners. I think there's still issues there. Will they do well? I mean, I hope they do well. I would like to see them do well. I mean, we have not won the World Series. We have not been to the World Series, much less win it, which we did win it the last time we were there. But we have not been to the World Series since 1983, since I was in 8th grade. So I'm not bullish. I'm not bullish. I will be secretly rooting for Pete Alonso now that he's okay, awesome. Well, hopefully we'll do well. Because all the Orioles fans that I know, they're all kind of been dejected over the last like 15 years, especially like the times I think we've made it to the playoffs a couple times, and people are very like excited, and then they just fall apart. It's like, what's happening to our teams, man? And that's what's happening here. We need more wood. Like I said, this is the problem with like using smaller woods, is that they just don't have that longevity. Now, Pete Alonso came from, you're not a Yankees fan. They came from the Mets. Is that right? Did he come from the Mets? Oh, my combustion is going out. I need to find me a piece of wood that I can use to relight my cigar. Here we go. We got a little piece of red oak here that I'm going to try to light as my new match. I took like an hour, like I said earlier, to chop some wood down for tonight, which I think was a good idea because you know what? Normally, if I'm out here smoking cigars, like I'm getting up every few minutes to chop more wood. It's a much better experience to do it this way. This is not working. Yeah, that worked. There we go. Here's Andrew sent some photos of his Adirondack chair. This is very nice. That's a very nice looking chair. This is painted, which is, it's interesting. Like, and here's his little fire pit. That's always, we had a nice time there the one time we were out there. Mine is a little bit different. Like, it's interesting. You see these different, there's so many different designs for them. Yeah, this is what mine looks like. Yesterday. You can see the cedar has a little bit of the sapwood on the wings. There's actually on the arm, I found this knot, which I really like, and I know some of you don't like that, but this is my favorite detail in the entire chair. This little knot here on the arm. Eric says should have had the Gunnar Henderson in for the WBC final against Venezuela. I think the U.S. would have had a better offense. I don't know what that means. In my world of coffee, WBC means something completely different than I'm sure what you're talking about. The final against Venezuela, is that the World Baseball Championship? Is that what it is? Yeah, so this Adirondack chair kit, right, comes to these templates. And in the times that I've used templates for building stuff, I would use the template to mark on the piece of wood the shape, and then cut that shape out, and then I would use the template, stick the template onto the workpiece, and then use a flush trim bit on a router to clean it up to but I cut it really tight, and it looked, the curves were very gentle. It wasn't very highly detailed, so I was like, you know what, I could probably just shape it with a belt sander, right, oscillating belt sander. So I used that, and I was like, oh, this is much easier than having to worry about like the template flying off the piece and like everything like breaking. It's really, and the cedar is super soft, so it's like, not too difficult to work with. Brian says I extended the 3 middle boards on the back of the chair to accommodate my height, and added a thin layer pillow wrapped in leather. Ooh, that sounds good. I'm planning on building a chair for my father, and I was like, I'm planning on basing it off this chair that I saw I met this guy. I went to this talk by this guy who makes chairs, and it's really nice. Like it's like a super nice Windsor style chair. This one, it's. I'm going to base it off of that. So the interesting about this chair, right? It's this kind of Windsor-ish style chair with those like spines in the back. But those are made out of ash, and they're really thin. I think they're like a 1/4 inch. So when you sit in this chair, like I sat in that particular chair, the ash has this flex to it. So the back flexes, and the rail, it actually conforms to you a little bit. It's really quite a nice. I was like, man, I'm going to make something similar to that, but with armrests, because my dad wants, he probably wants armrests. Yeah, World Baseball Classic. Thank you. Thank you. Andrew asks, are leather wrapped chairs undercover? Undercover? What is it? I don't know. You mean like incognito, or? From what I've seen of leather wrapped chairs, and I don't know too much about them. I was watching a video. I don't know if you know, but there's this guy, Norm Abrams. He used to have a show called The New Yankee Workshop on PBS. And they finally finished releasing them all on YouTube. They're all the show is on YouTube, except for one episode. They didn't put this one. I think he built a crib in one of the episodes. They didn't put the crib anymore. That too much liability, right? So he had one episode where he built this cigar lounge chair, where it's like this big chair stuffed with leather wrapped. And as they were examining it and figuring out how to build it, it's really just it's really rough construction on the frame. Like the frames are not really well finished because it's all being covered with like foam and like batten and then leather. If that's what you mean, then yeah, I think they're surprisingly ugly underneath the leather. It's like, I'm still planning on building this one called the Campeche chair, which is based on this old school style of chair, but I haven't really started to work on it. I thought I was going to try to get to it like in the fall, but Andrew says, I would love Norm's workshop. Yeah, he had a nice workshop. Actually, it's funny because I came across this video on YouTube where, there's a lot of people in the woodworking world that talk about like tools, and some people are very much against, like, you guys know that I enjoy the Festool stuff, and people are like, there's some push within certain circles, there's pushback against tools like that. And this one guy was making an argument for that because he was like, look at Norm Abrams. In this video, he talks about this. Look at Norm Abrams' workshop. He's using all old Delta equipment. And I couldn't help but to like make a comment on it, because I said, I get what you're saying. And I think in 2026, there's some validity to what you have to say. But if we look at the era of this show when it was being released and actually considered contemporary, let me grab some more wood here because the fire is dying out. Like, the guy was talking about, you could buy all this old equipment for cheap. Look at Norm's workshop. And I was like, yeah, that's true. In 2026, that's true, because Delta then had these pieces that were amazing, and you could buy that same equipment for relatively affordable. But I said, in the context though of like 2005, or the era that he was operating in, he had the most advanced equipment available to man. Like, and I read some more about it, and they were talking about how like Delta was a big sponsor of the show. So he had all this Delta equipment, like super like equipment. And I was like, at the time that he made the show, he had the top grade stuff. Like that was the best you could afford it. And I found an article from like Fine Woodworking or Popular Woodworking talking about his workshop, and how even in those era, people were commenting on about his stuff, where they're like, yeah, but he's got all the best equipment. So, I mean, of course he's going to make nice stuff. And it's like, So I said to the creator, I was like, he had the best. If he was operating today, making the show today, he'd still have whatever was the top of the line equipment. So I don't know if it's really, I don't know if it's really an accurate thing to say that, to use Norm as the example, because he had the best. Brian says Norm was one of the first to have a laser on the miter saw. See, I mean, had the laser on the miter saw. The miter saw is an interesting tool, right? Like, I have one. I have this old Ryobi from like the 90s, one of the blue ones, just a simple like compound miter, not a slider, right? I've always wanted the slider, like the DeWalt. But in my modern era, like I'm like the DeWalt is nice, but the DeWalt kind of sucks, right? Because like if you're out at a job site, like building a house, framing a house, you bring the saw, you set it up, and you start chopping, which is a great thing to have. The problem with the DeWalt slider is that the slider is behind the saw. So you have to have the total depth of the saw is like 3 feet, because you got to have at least 12 inches for the sliders to protrude out the back. So it's like you can't put it against a wall. You got to have this really deep section for it. It's like that sucks. Only a few of the saws, like the Bosch, one of the Makitas, and the Festool, has sliders that do not protrude out the back. The Makita and the Festool have sliders that come out the front, so it pulls forward on the rail that sits forward of the fence. And then the Bosch has this articulating arm that comes out. So it's like, and while I would like to have the Festool, because it is the most precise and the best dust collection of them all, I used my miter saw for the first time in like 10 months last week. And I probably used it 5 times in the last year and a half. So it's like, why would I buy that for whatever crazy amount of money they're asking if you only use it like a few times a year? That's not worth the cost. At least for me, because I use a table saw to do a lot of the miter cuts that I need to make. So it's like the utility for me is kind of limited at the moment. But I don't know if it's also the question of like, while the Ryobi does a good enough job, it's also very messy. So it's like, it's really like, I dread having to use it. So it's like, do I not use it because I don't necessarily need it, or do I not use it because I dread using it? Andrew says, I love the old equipment from Shaker Handlock Village. Ooh, I'm not familiar with that place. And Andrew also says, I love the old equipment from Shaker. Oh, he said that again. Shaker Furniture is incredible. Oh, Shaker Furniture. It's funny, there's this guy that's really known for his Shaker style furniture, a guy named Christian Bexworth. In the woodworking world, he's very well known. And it's funny, when I was in Maine, one of my old friends, Jennifer, she lives in Maine. She's a elementary school librarian. So I called her up. I said, "Hey, I'm in town. I'm in Portland. Let's go out." So she's like, "Let's go out." So we're hanging out one night, and she's like, one of my friends who's older than her, another librarian that's retired now, she says, her husband makes furniture, and I think he's pretty well known. I was like, "Oh yeah, what's his name? Maybe I've heard of him." He's like, "Chris Bexworth," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that guy is like famous." She's like, "Yeah, I just know him." He's like, "Oh, that's funny." He's like, but Bexworth is known as like the shaker guy. Like everybody knows him as the shaker person. I have a table in the humidor that I think is a shaker design. I bought it many years ago, like in 96 or 97. We used to have this Amish furniture joint, unfinished furniture place, right? You buy it and you buy the furniture. It's all unfinished. It's just like, almost like it looks, I think it's called a postal desk. But I bought it because I was like, it reminds me very much of like the type of work tops that they have at like the cigar factories. It's very similar to that. So I bought one and I painted it, it could just for fun. It was kind of a nice project, but I think that's in a shaker style. Now we need more wood. Oh. If you're not familiar, the Shaker stuff is known for like very clean lines, very simple design. There's this one guy that I follow on YouTube. His name is Rex Kruger. And he's this guy really into hand tools. Like he does everything by hand. It's kind of crazy. But like he was talking about this one episode I was watching of one of his videos. He was talking about like regional furniture, right? Like he lives outside of Cleveland. So he's talking about when he moved to Ohio, he found there's all this Ohio type of furniture. I was like, huh. Which is more very, Ohio is kind of rural, especially in the old days. So it's like the stuff that developed there was fairly rustic. So I was wondering, like, what's endemic to Maryland? So I started looking on the internet about Maryland furniture, and it's all very like, evidently because I guess we're close to like the original colonies and Washington D.C. and all of that, like old school. So all the like local furniture is like federal style, kind of fancy. It's all like, I was like, eh. So how's our cigar? Our cigar is doing all right. Like, I mean, I'm going to say we are at 8.5 for flavor, 8.5 for flavor, 8.75. Okay, so we've got 8.5, 8.75 for body, 8.5 for flavor. Burn and draw. I mean, the burn and draw. Oh man, we did have that go out at one point. So I'm going to say 8.5 for burn and draw. Consistency, very consistent. 9. So I'm going to say 17.5. And let's say overall is 8.5. Oh, here we go. Now, like I said, the revenges have always been in that 86, 87 point range. And we did the revenge of this era. When did we do it? I'm looking for the sheet now. I still have all the sheets here. Here we go. We did the revenge on the 26th of February, 86.75. Today, our cigar, a little bit of combustion issues, but so roughly the same performance, 86.25 is our score. So, very typical, very, very class, very consistent for the Roma Craft and Temperance experience. Now, what's the big difference between this one and the Revenge? I think my understanding between the two is that the Revenge is this cigar, but box pressed. So it should be very similar, and it is. It's very similar. It's very enjoyable. It is a reasonable stand-in when I don't have Revenges. So that's what we got. That's what we got. The coffee, good enough. Not what it was last week, but But I would say if you keep iced coffee, cold brew, it's probably better to like consume it in the first 3 days rather than stretch it out to a week. Like a week, there's definitely a degradation, and I would imagine that this is going to be. While this particular coffee was a light roasted coffee from Costa Rica, natural, so it had like nice tones of like strawberry and cherry with some dark chocolate last week. It is not. It is a shade of that today. Like it is just a hollow representation of what that was. So even though that this is a very different coffee than most iced coffees, I think that regular iced coffee will still have similar performance degradation over this kind of timeline. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much, I guess that's pretty much all that I have for you guys this week. Good to hang out with you as always. Always good to see all of you. Thank you for hanging out with me on the Thursday Night Hang. We're back again next week with more coffee and cigars. It's good down to the last drop. There is again, we're getting a little bit of burnout. That some of it's kind of flaming out, like it's not burning evenly. And then you can kind of feel how it's not burning totally evenly. So, yeah. But I guess that's going to be it for this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with me as always. Back again next week, and see you next time.